Well, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear sisters. Today we are going, inshallah, to continue our journey in Tajweed. We are going to take or to study the articulation point of two letters, which are the noon and the ra. Alhamdulillah, we did finish back of the tongue. We did study the articulation point of qaf and kaf, and then the middle part of the tongue, jim, sheen, ya, and then the edge of the tongue, bod and lam. And now we are moving to the tip of the tongue, which is this part. It is the first wide part after the tip of the tongue. We did see this picture before. Tip of the tongue. The first two letters we are going to study in this area or in this articulation point is two letters, the noon and the ra. Let's begin, inshallah. Well, very well. Now you can see. Well, my dear sister, I want you to have a look at this picture. This is very important. This is the articulation point of letter noon. Letter noon has a great company with us during all our recitation in Quran. During all our recitation in Quran, because noon had a lot of hukm, a lot of rules. Sometimes we apply izhar or clear noon. Sometimes idgham or merging, and it's divided into full merging and not full merging. Sometimes we apply iqlab or flipping, and then we apply oral hiding, and sometimes we apply the hiding for the noon sakin and the tanween. Okay, tanween, it's a noon pronounced at the end of some words of the words, and in Quran we have two verbs only who had tanween, the shape of tanween, but they are the noon of tawqid, noon al-tawqid, or the assuring noon in the Arabic grammar. Those two verbs are لا نسفعن بالناصية, and another one unfortunately I don't remember this verb now. Anyway, articulation point of the noon sakina or tanween, it is the same. How we pronounce the noon sakina? Tip of the tongue, okay, with the alveolar ridge of the upper central incisor. Upper central incisor, those are the two big in the middle. Those are the upper central incisor. Tip of the tongue with the alveolar ridge of the upper central incisor. Okay. What happened? The tip of the tongue will be raised to make a full contact with the alveolar ridge of the upper central incisor. Full contact, that means no space in between. Full contact. That's why the sound is going to be blocked behind the tongue and will go back and escape through the nasal cavity. That's why this sound, when it will pass from the nasal cavity, will produce what we call the ghunna. That's why ghunna, it's one of the main adjectives of sifat or characteristics of the noon. And if I close my nose, the sound of noon will not be heard because the ghunna, it is a part, it's a main part of the pronunciation of the letter itself. And. So, in other words, when we pronounce noon, two parts are working here, the tongue and the nasal cavity. Tongue and the nasal cavity. I will repeat this. The noon, articulation point of noon, tip of the tongue with the alveolar ridge of the upper central incisor. Make full contact, no space in between. That's why the sound is blocked here and will go back and escape through the nasal cavity That's why we hear or we produce the غنة. When we pronounce the noon, two parts are working. Number one, the tongue. Number two, the nasal cavity. That's why if we talk about the sifat of the noon in general, the characteristics of noon, regarding the running of the sound, the articulation point is closed here, yes, but it's open here from here. That's why it's not that open, not like, for example, with dog, and not that closed like with qaf. That's why we call it it's harfun bayni, or it's an in-between letter, because the articulation point neither totally open nor totally closed. Neither totally opened nor totally closed. It's in between. That's why it's called in between letter, or harfun bayni. Bayni or tawassut in Arabic means in between. In between rahawa and shidda, in between the loose and the tight letter. This is regarding the main صفة or the main characteristic of noon regarding the running of the sound. It's in between. Okay, second, regarding the running of the air. And if there is air, a lot of air running, like F, like ah, like F, no. That's why it's a voiced letter, or harfun majhur, voiced. And with your hand, and you don't feel a lot of air running out. So it's voiced, majhur. Regarding being full mouth or heavy letter or harfun mufakham or the opposite, it's the opposite. It's an empty mouth letter, harfun muraqqaq. It's a light letter. And okay. The fourth main characteristic for noon or sifa for noon, it's the ghunna. Ghunna. Regarding noon and mim, it's ghunna. It's part of the pronunciation of the letter. Ghunna. If I do not produce ghunna, you will not be able to hear the noon. If I close my nose, the sound of noon will be inaudible. You cannot distinguish the sound of noon. And what is this letter? And noon, I'm going to explain a little bit about with noon, because noon, as I told you, we have it with us during our recitation and have different hukmah or different rules. During our recitation, when we analyze the ayat, which we take from the Tajweed point of view, I do explain briefly what we take. I think we had passed by the al-izhar. Al-izhar, it means that you are going to pronounce a clear noon. Clear noon. Izhar, or clarifying noon, or clear noon. It means, sorry, you are going to pronounce noon as it is. And the ghunna will be the time of the ghunna. It will be the time of the letter itself. It's an in-between letters, so it is the time of an in-between letter. And this is the time of the letter and the time of the ghunna. And the letters are hamz, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, ha. Those 6 letters are produced from the throat. That's why it's called the throat clarifying or the throat clear noon, or izharun halqi, because all the 6 letters are produced from the halq or from the throat, and we apply izhar, or we do apply clear noon rule, because the articulation point of those 6 letters are so far away from the articulation point of the noon, which is here, the tip of the tongue. That's why it's easy to be pronounced clearly. The problem began when the articulation points are near, so near, or some characteristics are sharing in between, etc. But if they are so far away, always we have the izhar rule. Regarding idgham, it's not yarmalun, and we did, I think, also during our recitation, we did pass by this story, and we say with the letters of normal, noon, ra, mim, lam, we apply the full merging, and we said that it's on in Quran that noon will have no short vowels upon or under, and the following letter will have shadda. And we said in full merging, both parts, this is what I want you to hear here kindly, both parts which are sharing in the pronunciation of noon, they are not going to work in full merging because the noon will be totally disappeared. The first noon, I'm talking about the first noon. The noon is the kind of who is going to be full merged with the noon, which is followed, or with the ra, or with the meme, or with the lam, the letters of word normal. So neither the tongue part nor the nasal cavity are going to work in full merging of the noon sakina or the tanween. The not full merging, only the tongue part is not going to work, but the nasal cavity is going to work. That's why we still have the ghunna. This is with two letters, waw and ya. I'm explaining briefly the rules of noon. I'm sure you've studied a lot in different places, but here I want you to see here how it's worked with the articulation part. Regarding the ikhfa, which is going to be the letters remains after the 6 letters of ibhar and the letters of idgham or merging and the ba of iqlab or flipping. The rest, we apply with them the ikhfa or the hiding. The noon will be hiding. How? Also, the tongue part is not going to work. The tongue part is not going to work. And only the nasal cavity part is going to work. That's why we produce the ghunna, but the tongue part is not working. That's why we say when we apply ikhfa, the tongue is going to the articulation point of the letter which is following the nun sakina or the tanween. Okay? Regarding the iqlab or the flipping, iqlab when nun sakina is going to meet, and this is very important. When nun sakina is going to meet ba, we are going to make two things. First, we are going to make flipping, iqlab. We are going to make to flip nun into meme. Noon into meme, like min bad, for example. I'm going to write it here. Min bad. Okay, and the sign of in Quran, you are going to find that they are writing a small meme like this. It's so bad that the mouth is not helping you really. Yeah, it's so bad. Min, there is a small meme like this. For example, I just want to clarify just this point. Okay, in such a question, in such a case, we are applying two things. First, we are going to flip noon into meme. Okay, and then second, we are going to oral hide. For the oral hide, we are going to oral hide the meme with the ba. Okay, how we are going to make this? Well, this is something I want you to pay attention to. We have two ways here. The common one, and the one which is was passed down to us from our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is to pronounce it as clear noon, but extending the ghunna for 2 counts. That's means I'm going to say mim ba'd. So I'm going to pronounce as a clear noon, but prolongate the ghunna for 2 counts. So the two legs are going to be closed, but do not press. You're going to say like as if you are pronouncing the mim da, but prolongate the ghunna for 2 counts. Okay, mim da. There is another way, which is you are going to leave a distance in between the 2 legs when you are pronouncing, when you are applying the ikhfa of meme with ba, or al-ikhfa al-shafawi, or the oral hajib, which means that you're going to do like this. Mim ba'd, mim ba'd. You're going to leave a distance in between. There is an important thing, very important, very, very important 2 points. And I write the names of the sheikh who had began this way. This way, my dear sister, of leaving a distance in between the lips when we apply flipping or iqlab to noon and then إخفاء شفوي to the meme or the oral hiding to the meme or just if I have a meme followed by that, I'm going to apply إخفاء شفوي or the oral hiding and leaving a distance in between the lips or furja. This way of recitation, the first one who began this way of recitation, his name was الشيخ عامر السيد عثمان. This was around 1960s, 1965, around this time. This sheikh, he didn't study Quran or learn Quran by this way. When but before I complete this story, we were Dr. Ayman Swaid, he is the one who told us this story because a lot of questions began to appear about this way of recitation, about leaving a gap between the lips, from where it can, it's correct, it is not correct. So he told us this story, may Allah bless him. As I told you, what is passed down to us from our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, it is not leaving a gap in between. And it means that you're going to pronounce, you're going to flip the noon into meme and then pronounce clear noon, but prolongate the غنة فتكا. من بعد. Leaving a gap, the first one who began this was Sheikh Amir Said Rasman. He was the main reciters of all the Egyptian reciters. In Arabic, it's called Sheikh Amum al-Maqari al-Misriya. It means in English, in a way or another, the main reciter of all the Egyptian reciters for Quran Kareem. And he was responsible for all of them. He didn't, Sheikh Amir, he didn't receive Quran by this way. He didn't study Quran by leaving a gap. He studied or received Quran or studied Quran from his sheikh, from his teacher, or from his sheikh, by not leaving a gap in between the space. Okay? But the sheikh studied tajweed and he tried to do his effort to find out all about what we're supposed to do regarding flipping the noon or the oral hiding of the meme, and he was doing his best. This is what's very important to know. This man, he was a great sheikh, a great scholar. He was doing all his effort, and this is very common in fiqh. In fiqh, there is something called al-ijtihad. Al-ijtihad means that you study what's all about the religion or the thing you are studying about, and then you are trying your effort to measure it upon something, to take the good points and the bad points, etc. It's a certain way in fiqh. It's very clear. It's called in Arabic ijtihad. You make trying your best upon real study and good study, not like this. This man was a great scholar, was a great one, and was a great sheikh. He studied and he reached the idea of leaving a gap between the lips when we apply flipping to noon or oral hiding or إخفاء شفوي to me. And he said this is called إخفاء, so it's or hiding, so it must be like the hiding of noon الساكنة and tanween with the other letters, like the إخفاء of noon الساكنة and tanween with the other letters. This is what he thinks of, and he was doing his best. This is important. He didn't mean anything bad. And what I'm telling you, I'm just translating to you what Dr. Ayman Swaid said. And I'm going to send the video to you. I'm going to upload it to you, the video of Dr. Ayman Swaid, but it's in Arabic. That's why I'm translating it, and I'm very careful about the translation because this is very critical area. Okay. So he was the first one. This around 1965, 1967, last century, around 70 years ago. This Sheikh Amir Said Rahman, he was also responsible for recording the Quran in the Egyptian Quran broadcast or the Egyptian Quran radio channel. So he asked, and in other words, if I want to translate it literally, he ordered. literally translation, he ordered. He ordered the sheikhs in his time to recite Quran in while they were recording Quran, which we still hear up to now, for famous reciters like Al-Husari, like Abdul Basit Abdul Samad, Al-Minshawi, Mahmoud Ali al-Banna, Mustafa Ismail. When they make the recording for the Egyptian Quran channel, radio channel, he ordered them to recite by this way to leave a gap between the letters when flipping the noon or applying the shafawi or the oral hiding to them. And they recited this way. And up to now, we still have the recording of the recitation of Al-Husari, of all those names by this one. Maybe you will find another recordings while they are closing the lips. But this is the copy of the Egyptian Quran radio channel, which we still have up to now. And when he ordered them to do this, they agreed because this man was a great scholar, very great one. Yeah, it's not what, as I told you, he was Shaykh Umum al-Maqari al-Masriya. In English, if I want to translate it, he was the big head of all the Egyptian reciters. You can imagine. Okay. So they agreed because he was a very good scholar. He was famous and he was a specialist in Quran and Tajweed. And he was, this is first. Secondly, because he was responsible for the recording of Quran in Egypt, the Egyptian Quran radio channel. Okay? Dr. Ayman Swaid said that he did meet this man, Sheikh Amir al-Sayyid Othman, and he asked him, kindly, my Sheikh Amir, did you receive Quran by this way? Did your Sheikh, your teacher, your Sheikh, teach you by this way by leaving a gap? He answered, Dr. Ayman, no, he didn't teach me by this way. And Dr. Ayman Swaid said, I felt that he felt a little bit angry, so I didn't complete the conversation. I stopped. But Dr. Ayman Swaid was trying to search and find what the story. And by the way, Dr. Ayman Swaid was teaching by this way because he followed also this great sheikh for almost 20 years. And we were, but when we learned from Dr. Ayman, he gave us the two options. By the way, I studied from Dr. Ayman Swaid, Ayman Rushdi Swaid through the TV channel. It's not face to face. And he doesn't know me like thousands of people all over the world. We taught from him through the TV, through YouTube, so the tajweed. But recitation, it must be face to face with teacher, a lady. Okay. So Dr. Ayman asked another sheikh. This sheikh, his name is Salah ad-Din Kubbara. Salah ad-Din Kubbara, he was the main reciter of Lebanon, of Trablus in Lebanon, reciters. He was the big head there, the big head, or the main reciter there, and responsible for them. He asked about the recitation this way of Sheikh Amir. Sheikh Salah ad-Din Kubbara, he was one of the students of Sheikh Amir, Sayyid Othman, the first one who began this way of recitation, of leaving a gap. He told Dr. Ayman that when, at the beginning, by the way, Dr. Salah ad-Din Kubbara, he knows the 10 ways of recitation. He said at the beginning, I studied the 7 ways of recitation, and I traveled to Egypt to Sheikh Amir al-Sayyid Othman to read Quran before him, because as I told you, learning and teaching for Quran must be face to face. That's why I ask you always to open the camera. And he said, when I recite the 7 ways of recitation before him, while I'm closing the lips, no space in between, he did approve me, and it was good, and he said, and he testified that I'm great, good reciter, and he gave me the ijaza for the 7 ways. This was before 1965. Then later, in 1967, he wanted to take his testimony or ijaza for the other three ways of recitation. So he traveled again from Lebanon, from Trablus to Egypt, and came and see Dr. Sheikh Amr Said Othman. In 1967, when he recited before him while he was closing the lips, he refused. And he ordered him or asked him, no, you must leave a gap in between the lips. So he changed, kindly mute all the sound, kindly mute the sound. So he changed his opinion around, that's why I told you around 1965, 1967, almost 70 years from now. And he began to learn, to teach all the sheikhs, Salah ad-Din Kubbara, the famous reciters in the Quran, Egyptian Quran radio channel, to recite by this way. And a lot of students would teach from him. And this man, he left for a while. That when he was really old, so a lot of students did take this way from him. And they traveled to Saudi Arabia, to Gulf countries. Husari recitation, it's all over the world by leaving a gap. So that's why this way of recitation I'm sorry. So that's why this way of recitation became very popular, very during the last 70 years. Okay? But as Dr. Ayman Swaid said, this began only around 1965, 1967 by Sheikh Ayman Swaid Othman. He was a great scholar, by the way, and he did his effort. So now, not now. So Dr. Ayman Swaid, after 20 years, even Dr. Ayman Swaid, he was teaching by this way also, by the way. He was teaching by this way. And I'm still translating his words. I'm still translating his words. Dr. Ayman said, I was teaching by this way almost 20 years. But he was searching about this from where it came, especially that no one of the sheikhs did receive it from the previous sheikh. As I told you, Quran, we take it from its ears from lips, face to face. Quran, it's an audio book. It's not a written book. It's an audio book. When you want to recite Quran, you must recite it from one face to face. That's why I always say open the camera. So Dr. Ayman Swaid did study this for 20 years. He traveled. He asked all the sheikh from where they came, and he knew that this great scholar, he was great. He insists upon this, and Dr. Ayman Swaid insists upon this. This man was a great scholar. He did his effort. May Allah reward him. May Allah accept him. May Allah forgive him. Inshallah. So he was the first one who began this. And as I told you, the story. So Dr. Ayman Swaid, he did study this matter in different tajweed books, the printed one and the handwritten one, the very old ones. And he did ask different sheikhs, and two of the famous ones who did agree with him, they are Sheikh Ahmed Isa al-Masarawi. He is Sheikh Umum al-Maqar in Syria. He is the big head in Egypt. He is the main reciter, or the responsible for all the Egyptian reciters. And Sheikh Abdul Hakim Abdul Latif. Sheikh Abdul Hakim Abdul Latif. He's also one of the biggest or the greatest reciters, or could be the greatest reciter. So those three, Dr. Ayman Swaid and those two sheikhs, they agree upon this matter was new only 70 years ago, and no sanad for this way of recitation. You know sanad? Sanad is meaning that when we recite Quran, inshallah, next time I will give you the sanad of our way of recitation. Sanad means that people, one person from another, until Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There is no one missing in between. They found that this kind of recitation, leaving a gap, had no sanad. and began only from the time of Sheikh Amir 70 years ago. Okay, so this is the story of leaving a gap and not leaving a gap. This is, as I told you, it's just translation of Dr. Ayman Swaid. I do trust this man. He is, mashallah, great scholar. And he did emphasize, and everybody must emphasize upon the idea that Sheikh Amir Said Othman, who began this idea, was a great scholar, great man. He did his effort, and this is what his mind leads him. But he didn't mean anything bad. He was just a great man, a great scholar. And I told you the story, okay? So this is the story of the two ways of applying iqlab or flipping to noon, and then the oral hiding or ikhfa shafawi to the mean. Okay? Okay. We're supposed to take crop today, but I find this story took some time, so we are going to move to we are going to move, wait, to the examples of noon. Okay? Okay, starting from here, my dear sisters, kindly repeat after me, okay? Always I'm going to get to leave to you enough time to repeat after me, okay? Let's go. Begin with Nun Sakina and and na na nu. First, I pronounce the noon from its articulation point, and then the sorry, and then the dhamma. Then the dhamma, okay? I first pronounce the noon from its articulation point, and then the dhamma from its articulation point. No, no, make this slow motion. Huh? It's here. And, no, 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 ni, ni, إن الذين آمنوا إن noon has shadda, so 2 counts. إن جنات النعيم جنات النعيم. If I'm going to stop. يا أيها النبي إنا